Oh, yeah, he's back. The crack of the bat, the ping of the crossbar, and the roar of the crowd. We cover everything you want to talk about. It's the Rod Peterson Show.
Hey, good morning, Canada. Canadian sports fans around the world, welcome to the Rod Peterson Show on this Tuesday, October the 1st. Happy October. Thanks for joining us for coffee today for episode number 85 in the bunker out here in a field in southern Saskatchewan where it is still snowy and wet and will be for a few more days. I'm your host, Rod Peterson. He's Darren DuPont. If I'm Rocky, he's Bullwinkle.
I loved that show as a kid.
I wondered if you're old enough to get it.
Okay, Rocky.
That's good. That's good. Boy, we got a lot of things to get to today. I'm fired up. And if anybody's been on Twitter for the last 20 minutes, in the last 20 minutes, you'll understand why. And we're going to get to that. But to map out today's show, coming on the program from Global Regina, Taylor Shire, just ahead of him going to Mosaic Stadium to cover Canada's team in their first practice of the week. CTV Regina's Don Hewitt, Canada's newest blogger, does such a great job. And our NFL insider, Jim Lang, coming up to recap Week 4 in the National Football League. Show number 85. And Peter Labardius as well. Thank you, Clark. Peter Labardius coming up as well. I didn't have him written down on my notes. Show number 85. Number 85s?
Yeah.
I have two.
Okay.
Kyran Moore, Swerve, of the current Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the hero of the 1990 Stanley Cup playoffs, Peter Klima.
Whoa.
He of the Jofa Bucket.
Yes.
Do you have one?
Yeah. Well, maybe my favorite football player of all time, Chad Johnson. Ocho Cinco.
Ocho Cinco. Yeah, good one.
Loved him as a kid.
I'm just penciling Lou in. How did I forget that? Morning sports, Mason Rudolph threw for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns to pick up his first victory while filling in for Ben Roethlisberger on Monday Night Football as the Pittsburgh Steelers easily handled the Cincinnati Bengals 27-3 last night. Raiders linebacker Vontaze Burfict was handed the most severe punishment in NFL history for an on-field infraction on Sunday. He was suspended for the rest of the season for a helmet-to-helmet hit on Colts tight end Jack Doyle. The latest I heard this morning is he's going to appeal that.
Of course. And that's what the PA would do. They would appeal it, as they should. But no, he deserves it for sure. No remorse. The way he's blowing kisses to the crowd as he's leaving after he's been ejected of the game. Yeah.
Right. And in a related story, Simone Lawrence named CFL Player of the Week, voted on by the fans. Probably all Ticats fans from what I can see. He beat out Cody Fajardo in the voting by the fans. For the fans' choice, Shaw, Player of the Week, number 1 star, if you will. Now, over the past couple of weeks, we've talked about what do you do with repeat offenders that just aren't getting the message, like Simone Lawrence. Suspended 2 games for a headshot on Zach Caleros. Fined the max amount for a headshot on Logan Kilgore of the Eskimos. He's not getting the message. Matt Cook, Tom Wilson, back in the day, Ken Linsman, if you will, Brad Marchand.
Yeah.
Guys that aren't getting the message. I didn't know what the answer was. The NFL found it yesterday. You suspend him for the rest of the year without pay, and that's what should have happened to Simone Lawrence. And why the CFL couldn't figure that out, I'm not sure, other than to give him Player of the Week, because he had 17 tackles Friday night in Winnipeg, breaking Reggie Hunt's record. And it's a shame that a Hall of Famer like the Reaper would see his record fall to a thuggish type like Simone Lawrence, which I believe that he is. And I know the Ticats fans love him. Great. That's fine. Oiler fans love Ken Linsman back in the day. Bruins fans love Brad Marchand. But if you got to hold your nose to cheer for a guy because he's on your team, which is what I assume they would have to do with Simone Lawrence, it's embarrassing for the CFL. You got the NFL taking things seriously and suspending Vontaze Burfict for the rest of the season for headshots. And what he did isn't that much different than what he did, in my opinion, to Logan Kilgore up in Edmonton. The guy was going down. He went out of his way to target him and hit him in the head. And now he's Player of the Week. It's shameful. I'm getting a lot of pro and con reaction on Twitter.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on this?
You can't have it in the game anymore. You can't.
No.
It says there's no place for it, and we're so aware of it that, I mean, one thing to be making the big hit and you make contact with the head, but now it's such a focus, right? I mean, protecting our heads, protecting our brains, concussions, it's such a public, and there's so much information available. You can't have it happen. And it's tough because the league sees Simone, and he is a star in the league. He's a popular player in the community, right? He's a good player. He comes with star quality. He's got a name that people remember.
So he can do whatever he wants.
And that's kind of what it turns into a little bit, that you can do whatever you want. And that's where the league's got to come down and decide, okay, are we going to protect the stars, including Simone Lawrence, or are we going to protect the players and their health in the game and not worry about it?
The stars.
Right? And when it comes down to it, I'd be interested to see the TV ratings, because I know in the NFL, the TV ratings are correlated a lot with the health of the quarterbacks. And I think that's who you have to protect. And there's not many left starting quarterbacks from the beginning of the season. And it'd be interesting to see what the ratings are. I know last year, looking at the NFL ratings, there was only one starting quarterback really that went down during the year, and it was Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. And what happened after he went down? Nobody wanted to watch the San Francisco 49ers play anymore. And they weren't very good after that. Their ratings dropped. But ratings overall in the league last year were up because all the quarterbacks were healthy. Mm-hmm. And all of the teams are worth watching when you've got a healthy quarterback. You have to protect the quarterbacks. And I don't think, the game is not bigger than Simone Lawrence. And I mean, God forbid if it happens again. But that will be D-Day for the league to decide what to do.
No, it'll be D-Day for Simone Lawrence, because this is what got me thinking about it. I thought with the Burflick suspension, good for you, NFL. You're getting it right. Now the CFL, I'm sure, will follow suit. And less than 24 hours later, he's named Player of the Week, the guy who did the same thing. Now, what I also got me thinking about this is with repeat offenders. Do you know what SGI does if you're a repeat offender and you end up in front of their board, which I've done? You know what they do? They take your license away. They don't fool around.
Yeah.
They don't care if you're a star player, a star broadcaster, or a chef, a star chef. Obey the rules or you're not driving.
Yeah.
And the NFL took away Vontaze Burflick's license to drive. That's what the CFL needs to do to Simone Lawrence. So that's when you said the next time it happens, I think he's treading on some pretty thin ice right now.
Should be.
Because the next headshot that he delivers, he should be gone for the year. He has to be.
Yeah.
And not celebrated as Player of the Week. Now, 17 tackles the other night against the Blue Bombers. Could they have ignored him as a candidate for Player of the Week? I think they could have.
Yeah. That's part of the, well, he didn't deliver the headshot last week while he got the 17 tackles.
It just looks bad for timing that he's Player of the Week.
Yeah, the week after. It's a little bit of the Vernon Adams Jr. thing when you hit him in the head. Probably shouldn't have finished the game, or you hit him with the helmet, and then you're named Player of the Week, too. That's back-to-back Players of the Week that maybe aren't the most flattering for the league right now. But, yeah, I don't know what to do.
From Mark, watching in the Maritimes today. Thank you, Mark. Ships ahoy, me mate. Rules should be the same no matter if it's regular season or playoffs or whomever does it. Now, those should get stiffer for repeat offenders. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I'll use the SGI model. They don't care who you are. You have too many tickets, you're driving too fast, you're walking. Doesn't matter who you are. By the way, to our poll question that I put up a couple of hours ago from our Twitter feed for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center, who is the 2019 CFL Coach of the Year so far? I got 4 candidates. Did you see the poll?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I could imagine who.
Craig Dickinson, Kahari Jones, Orlando Steinauer, or other. Because there are other coaches besides those 3 that have done great jobs this year. Mm-hmm. And other right now has 1% of the vote. I think we nailed the top 3 coaches.
Yeah.
Through the opening 2/3 of the season, who do you think's leading?
Kahari Jones.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Another one correct.
Yeah.
You win a free coffee from Caliber Coffee.
But, it'll be interesting to see how they finish the year, too. Orlando Steinauer deserves a ton of credit for what he's done in Hamilton and continues to win games. And they don't get any credit at all. So
Nope.
My vote right now might be on Orlando Steinauer, but Kahari Jones, he's definitely deserving. So is Craig Dickinson, too. I mean, that team lost their starting quarterback 3 plays into the season and continues to be on top of the West, which is outstanding. But, yeah, it's a good poll.
I voted for Craig Dickinson, believe it or not. But Kahari Jones is leading 46% of the vote. Craig Dickinson has 44%. Orlando Steinauer 9%. And other 1%. You got 22 hours now to vote on that poll. Things we'll get to when we bring in Taylor Shire of Global Television after the break and Donnie Hewitt coming up from CTV. The Jordan Williams-Lambert situation. Donnie Hewitt's calling it a controversy. They're paying him $150,000 per year prorated, and they're not playing him. We talked about this a bit yesterday, but it's not going away. We'll talk about that with these guys. NHL opening week, dupes.
Yeah. The Eve.
Sens at Leafs tomorrow night. That should be a mere speed bump for the Buds, I would think.
You would hope so. But, Ottawa's coming along. I'm really excited for the season to get started. Really am.
I see. So is Eric writing us on Facebook. Happy NHL season eve, everyone. Go Leafs, go. Where do all you Leafs fans come from?
I don't know. You know what?
You're like when you lift up a sheet of plywood out in the field and 2,000 mice scatter everywhere. Where do these Leafs fans come from?
It's a free lesson on marketing and promotion, and people aren't
television.
But people aren't going to come about for your name. They're not going to come just because it's the Leafs. We become fans of the Leafs, or we become fans of a team because we learn who the players are.
Right.
We learn who the coaches are. We learn the stories of the history that happens through radio and television. So important. And with the Leafs being on every Saturday night, the fan base was big enough that they carried a national audience, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Okay, couple things before we break. Sponsor bell. As the boys said in the morning meeting, ring the bell. For Modern Men. Is it Hair Salon, Tyler? Yeah. Modern Men Hair Salon. And a shout out. What's the gal's name down there? Tammy. She was in here, right?
Jasmine did my hair.
Tammy, Jasmine, out on Victoria Avenue East. They're right around Victoria Avenue East and Arcola where they intersect, right? Modern Men, our newest sponsor. We've got a few more to go. Clark asks me to ask you to type, I want a haircut, in the comments for a chance to win a free haircut from Modern Men. And hopefully we can get the suave and debonair Taylor Shire to go to Modern Men, because there's a guy that's debonair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing, on the set, you'll notice something new. You'll notice something new from our friends in Calgary. And you were giving me the background to tell the story. And I said, you are the guy that brought the helmet here. So you tell the viewers what we have here.
Okay, pause for a second.
And 45 seconds or less.
I'm not the guy who brought the helmet in. It wasn't me going out and getting the Dinos thing, but it was gifted to me from the Dinos. So I don't want the Huskies and Rams coming after me because I went out and got a Dinos helmet. Johnny Carr is a great friend. He's the equipment manager, and he does everything for the Dinos. He's maybe their MVP. But he's like, you need something for your set that's red. And I was in Calgary.
I would agree, actually.
I'm like, I don't know if I can take this on the plane. I said, but you're in Saskatoon next week and I'm driving. He's like, I'll bring you something. So sure enough, he brought that. He said he's got a hat coming too. So I know Bob Thomas over at the U of R. I'll be making a stop over there. He told me to come by because those equipment guys are competitive.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to have something Rams. And so looking at the Huskies now too, and maybe the rest of Western Canada.
One-upping each other.
Well,
so we got all these gifts here. We got stuff from the Pats, the Raiders, the Warriors brought that in. The Rattlers giving this, right? I'm waiting to hear from the Rush. Hey, and the Blades have been strangely silent.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. But the Dinos is the piece de resistance so far on this desk. And as my friend Kathy wrote earlier last week, she goes, you're going to need a bigger desk after the PA Raiders hand-delivered their Raider bobblehead the other night. Or she said, you're not going to have enough room on the desk. And I said, then we'll get a bigger desk.
Yeah.
Maybe, can we build some shelves up here? Where's Paul?
We could build a shelf or two.
Too busy building a wall over there.
We can add it to the shelf behind me, too. There's some space on the shelf. We can move some of the water bottles around and the hat and stuff like that.
We've rambled too long. Taylor Shire in next. This is the warm-up. You're watching The Rod Peterson Show on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpeterson.com.
You're watching Rod Peterson On Demand. For more of The Rod Peterson Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Peterson on social media.